And at this time, I'd like to introduce Miss Elisa Cohen, who will be able to go for the rest of the presentation. And we hope you all enjoy our presentation about workability updates and implementation.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jana. My name's Elisa Cohen, and I just want to go over some housekeeping rules quickly, just so that you know that our audio and video will be muted during the call. And if you want to ask a question, please use the chat so that we can respond. The chat will be monitored throughout the presentation so that individuals, can see others' questions, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can during the time permitted. However, if we are not able to address all questions, please, put your email in the chat and we can certainly, get back to you. And subtitles have been put on, so if anybody's having difficulty accessing the subtitles, please also let us know. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to read out all of this to you, but I just wanted to let you know that I have been doing benefit counseling with individuals who have Social Security benefits, SSI, FSDI, for over 10 years. And as part of that benefit counseling, I have also been providing information about eligibility to individuals that have Medicaid and New Jersey WorkAbility, and how to maintain those benefits while individuals are working. I am now going to turn off my camera so that you can focus on the information that's being presented. Thanks. Next slide, please. So today we're going to talk about the foundations of New Jersey WorkAbility, why workability is crucial to all New Jerseyans with disabilities who want to work and enjoy career advancement. We're going to discuss how the new workability law can provide a powerful boost to work incentives in New Jersey, and hear some updates about the implementation of the new law and advocacy steps to make the law's promise a reality. Next slide. So I'm just putting out this New Jersey Medicaid program overview. Many of you may have seen it before. For those who haven't, it's just a way of showing that there are several different access points to get onto a Medicaid program in the state of New Jersey. And depending on your earned and unearned income, assets, and other financial information, kind of is a determining factor under which type of Medicaid you may be eligible for. New Jersey WorkAbility has a higher income potential than other Medicaid programs. So this one is also tied to having employment. And if an individual has Social Security disability benefits based on their own work record, that is not included as part of an eligibility determination. Next slide, please. So, New Jersey WorkAbility, a new law was enacted in January of 2022 that offers people with disabilities who are working and whose income would otherwise make them ineligible for Medicaid the opportunity to receive full Medicaid coverage. New Jersey WorkAbility is the Medicaid buy-in option in the state of New Jersey for those who are employed, permanently disabled, and has been authorized under the Federal Ticket to Work and Incentives Improvement Act of 1999. Next slide, please. Broadly speaking, New Jersey WorkAbility provides full Medicaid coverage to New Jerseyans with disabilities who would otherwise not qualify for Medicaid. So under the current eligibility requirements, an individual current or prospective New Jersey family care recipient must be at least 16 years old, be a resident of New Jersey, must be employed, either full or part-time, and must be able to show proof of employment, be determined as disabled by either the Social Security Administration or the medical review team at the Division of Medical Assistance and Health Services prior to the age of 65, and meet the required income thresholds. Further information about the determination criteria and income thresholds will be explained in more detail later on in the presentation. Next slide, please. Permanent disability. In terms of requirements for eligibility for New Jersey WorkAbility, individuals must meet either or the Social Security's definition of disability or the disability review team at the New Jersey Division of Medical Assistance and Health Services. And later on, or continuing throughout the presentation, I will be referring to it as DMOS. So Social Security defines adult disability as the inability to engage in substantial gainful activity by reason of any medically determinable physical or mental impairment, which can be expected to result in death or which has lasted or can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months. So what I'm going to just point out in this case is that when Social Security defines adult disability, the individual may have work requirements or work income that would allow them to earn over the substantial gainful activity amount. So I just want that to, be clear that if an individual works and is earning over the current SGA of 1,470, they can still be eligible for New Jersey WorkAbility. Or the disability review team at the New Jersey Division of Medical Assistance and Health Services, DMOS, the state Medicaid office. So individuals only have to meet one or the other. They do not have to meet both. And the disability review team will use the same Social Security definition, but no employment activity, earnings, or substantial gainful activity is considered when determining eligibility. Next slide, please. So in January of 22, there was recently enacted legislation expanding who can qualify for New Jersey WorkAbility. The bill revised eligibility requirements for New Jersey WorkAbility and the Personal Assistance Services Program, which is the WorkAbility Bill, New Jersey S 3455. The WorkAbility Bill will remove barriers to employment and individual career advancement for individuals with disabilities. Next slide, please. So what has changed? I know that some of these, the slide may be very small, so I'm hoping that you can all see it. If not, I believe that the presentation will be, a link to the presentation will be input into the chat so that you can see it more clearly. But I'm just going to kind of go through what the requirements were or are before the enhancement or the enactment of the changes and what they will look like after full implementation and where we are now. So prior to January 2022's enactment, there was a maximum age of 64 years of age for an individual to qualify and be eligible. Once the program is fully implemented, there is no age limit requirement for the maximum age. And as of the end of last week, there have been no changes, and this was one of the eligibility requirements that was removed after April 1st of 23. So there is now no limit on the maximum age that an individual can still remain eligible for workability. Prior to the changes, a spouse's income and assets could be determined as could be utilized and included as part of the eligibility determination. They are now excluded and have been excluded since April 1st of 23. Asset limits. There was a maximum for individual assets of $20,000 per person or $30,000 per couple, excluding a home, a car, a 401k plan account, or IRA balances. However, now there is no limit, as that was also removed in April of 23. Limit on earned income. Currently, the limit on earned income is 250% of the federal poverty level, which is roughly $6,161 per month. After the full implementation, there will be no limit on this amount. However, as of September 22nd, 23, DMA still has to submit the state plan amendment to CMS, meaning that it has not been implemented yet because it hasn't had final approval. Limit on unearned income, which includes Social Security benefits based off a parent's work record or alimony or another type of unearned income source. The maximum eligibility is 100% of the federal poverty level, which is about 1,215 per month. After full implementation, that also was supposed to have no limit. However, that also still remains to be submitted for approval by CMS. Continuation of Medicaid coverage after 12 months. Previously and currently still ends upon a job termination. However, implementation, one of the changes was to be that the coverage will continue for up to 1 year after a job loss that is through no fault of the individual. However, continued coverage remains to be implemented by state regulations and/or administration. Next slide, please. So the changes to the plan based on are based on a phased implementation process. Phase 1 of the implementation was launched on April 1st, 2023, and this expanded the eligibility. Phase 2 of the implementation is pending, and at this time, we do not know exactly when that will take place. And one of the key eligibility changes will be the removal of unearned income limits. Next slide, please. Phase 1, which went into effect April 1st, changed the enrollment, as I discussed in the chart. So now anybody over the age of 16 who received a disability determination prior to the age of 65 is eligible, and they can remain eligible even past age 64. So there won't be any, discontinuance of benefits for individuals once they turn 65. Next slide, please. So to be still implemented, New Jersey workability enrollment is now available free of asset limits. So previously, there was a $20,000 income limit for individuals and $30,000 income limit for couples. Now that has been removed, so there's no more asset limit. And a spouse's income and assets are no longer considered as part of the eligibility criteria. So that's no longer counted for an individual, which really helps to increase the likelihood of an individual's eligibility. Next slide. There is a WorkAbility website, which is listed down below, the Division of Disability Services / New Jersey WorkAbility. It provides more information about program enrollment and the status of phase 1 implementation. It's live on the WorkAbility page and social media content and on the Department of Human Services other platforms. So for more information or to stay updated on the phase 2 and continued updates, you can feel free to check in on this website for updates. Next slide, please. To apply for WorkAbility, you can go to your county's Board of Social Service, and I've provided the links here. You can also apply online. I will make note that the online application has not been updated to remove the age requirements. So if you do an online application, you may still, if you're over age 65. So you may have to, contact the Board of Social Services directly if you are in that category. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned earlier, phase 1 implementation for continuous eligibility for members enrolled in New Jersey WorkAbility for 12 months following a job loss. It happens at no fault of their own. That is still pending. It was scheduled to be implemented as part of the phase 1 implementation on April 1st. However, it is still pending state regulations and administration. Continued advocacy is necessary to implement this provision. And hopefully we will receive more information and updates about this. And as we do, we will, make that information available. Next slide. Phase 2 implementation activities are still continuing as policy issues and system enhancements are being built in the DHS eligibility system. As I mentioned earlier, the Division of Medical Assistance and Health Services still has to submit the state plan amendment to CMS. And we will provide updates as they are made available. Next slide, please. The legislation for phase 2 implementation does provide for additional expansions by removing income limits and establishment of a premium structure. Just note that countable income will still be considered as part of the eligibility for this program. And at this time, we do not have any additional updates about the premium structure, but Medicaid communications will be published once these additional provisions are made operational. And until they're operational, the current income eligibility criteria remains the same. Next slide, please. So I mentioned earlier about earned income. Earned income is essentially wages, self-employment earnings, or any private or state disability plan benefits or commissions. These are wages from a job. It's your salary, it's your paycheck. That's what earned income is. And currently, with New Jersey Workability, there's a maximum for individuals that have unearned income, or no unearned income, excuse me, that their incomes must not exceed 250% of the federal poverty level. And so a single individual's gross earned income may not exceed $73,932 per year or $6,161 per month. So that is the current earned income limits. If you have no unearned income, if an individual also has gross income, it also has unearned income, it could change. But for phase 2, once it's approved, it eliminates the program's existing eligibility limit of 250%. Next slide, please. Current unearned income, countable unearned income, must be less than 100% of the federal poverty level. And in 2023, that's $1,215 per month or $14,580 per year. Now, examples of unearned income would be receiving Social Security disability under a parent's work record, child support, alimony, or anything other than wages earned from a job. And portions of both earned and unearned income are also not counted when determining an individual's eligibility for workability. An applicant's Social Security disability based on their own work record is not counted as part of the income for eligibility, but Social Security disability benefits received by an individual based on the income record of a retired or deceased parent is counted as unearned income. And total countable income, meaning combined and earned and unearned, after certain disregards, shall not exceed 250% of the federal poverty level. And some of the disregards, as I mentioned, could be the individual's Social Security benefit being based on their own work record, or for SSI beneficiaries where only 1/2 of earned income is counted toward countable income. Next slide, please. So now that the public health emergency is over, medical redeterminations have restarted. And as a result, individuals that were eligible should remain on Workability Medicaid if they continue to meet all the eligibility requirements, or they could be transitioned to another Medicaid category. The eligibility redetermination process was scheduled is now taking place, and for those that are receiving Medicaid, New Jersey Workability Medicaid, their redetermination period is supposed to occur between January 1st and March 31st of 2024. So for individuals who are currently Workability enrollees are not supposed to undergo medical redeterminations until after January 1st. Next slide, please. Now, we realize that some people have been, redetermined, have had their eligibility redetermined prior to January. And they do have the right to appeal if they don't agree with the decision, or they were changed to a different type of Medicaid that, reduces their eligibility. So if someone is disenrolled or their Workability Medicaid is changed to another category and they disagree with the state Medicaid agency, they can appeal. And Medicaid beneficiaries who have had their benefits mistakenly terminated or eligibility reduced have the right to an appeal, which is also called a fair hearing. And they can contest the state Medicaid agency decision. So the point that enrollees are not supposed to undergo medical redeterminations until after January 1st of 2024 is important. So if there's an individual that has been on WorkAbility and they've been changed to a different type of Medicaid, but yet still meet the eligibility requirements, you can certainly contact disability rights to, for more information about that. And our contact information will be provided at the very end of this presentation. Next slide, please. To appeal a WorkAbility termination, you have the right to appeal, which is called, the proceeding is before the Office of Administrative Law. To initiate the action, you must notify the state agency that you would like to have a fair hearing, and the action will be referred to the Office of Administrative Law at that time. And for more information about the process, please contact Disability Rights New Jersey to discuss your options, and someone will be able to walk you through the process. And as we have more information about eligibility and phase 2 implementation, a second presentation will be scheduled once it becomes clear what the changes will look like and when they will be enacted. And we will definitely keep you updated as we learn more. So now we can, Jana has been monitoring the chat, and we can, take a few questions. And like I said before, if we don't get to your question, please just email or put it in the chat with your email address, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can today.
Sure. The first question that we received is still not clear on SGA as it relates to SSDI eligibility. Is that something we're able to discuss now, or would you prefer to discuss that individually with the person?
Well, I can briefly touch on it, because substantial gainful activity, SGA, is a very complicated calculation. In terms of individuals that are working and on Social Security disability, in order for them to maintain receiving a paycheck or pay their cash portion of their Social Security disability, they have to remain under the SGA, which this year is 1,470. But with WorkAbility, an individual can make more than that. They just wouldn't be able to maintain their cash portion of their benefits. And, for more information about that, you can certainly reach out, but you may also want to reach out to the Ticket to Work helpline for more information and, to receive individual benefits counseling. So SGA, while it's the maximum you can receive, it's the maximum amount you can earn, while in order to still receive a cash benefit, it does not necessarily stop your eligibility for medical and Medicaid, because WorkAbility has higher income levels.
The next question that we have is, what is the easiest way to transition from WorkAbility to traditional Medicaid or MLTSS if the individual can no longer work? This individual is helping a family member who is bipolar and has MS and still worked until she's been in cancer treatment and can no longer live independently per doctors.
What I'm going to say is that anytime there's a change in circumstances for an individual, whether, they lose their job or have to reduce your hours or whatever the case may be, I strongly recommend that you contact your your county board of social services, and if an individual is receiving Social Security, you would also want to let Social Security know that you've stopped working or reduced your hours. And you can also contact your your county board of social services and notify them, and then they can, discuss what your options would be at that time. Because there are, as you saw from one of the earlier slides, there are several different ways of getting Medicaid. So I'm not going to, I'm not a Medicaid expert. So you would want to talk to somebody at, the state Medicaid level to, better inform you about how, which eligibility criteria you could be eligible for.
The next question that we have is what is the best process on assisting individuals with SSI who are on Medicaid to transition smoothly to workability? It is being reported that clients and consumers are withholding their working hours due to the loss of benefits.
The best way to educate beneficiaries would be to have them meet with benefit counselors, quite honestly. In terms of the loss of benefit, even if an individual receives zero cash benefit from their SSI or SSDI, they can still be eligible for Medicaid. For SSI recipients, they could still be eligible under a different program, which is called 1619B. But if an individual is working and no longer meets the criteria for either 1619B or another Medicaid category, they could then apply for New Jersey workability. But once again, the contact would have to start at the county board of social services offices.
The next question that we have is what is the best way to stay up to date on progress regarding phase 2 implementation, particularly the removal of earned income limits?
Well, the best way, as far as we're concerned right now, is to, stay up to date or sign up for, updates from DDS or through the Division of Disability Services websites. They have program updates and enrollment updates live on their pages. And that will be in the slides presented. I mean, I'm sorry, once you have access to the slides, there are links presented.
The next question that we have is how does workability work for a ticket to work recipient?
Well, one thing to remember is that, New Jersey workability it has enhanced eligibility, but it is still a Medicaid program. So for ticket to work enrollees, if they're, it's a way for them to earn more and still be eligible for Medicaid benefits. So it really, the fact that an individual is using a ticket to work, to receive employment services is great. And, workability is just a program to enhance that, level of maintaining Medicaid.
Next question that we have is there a chance that part 2 won't be implemented? What would happen if someone applies for workability relying on the expected enactment and it doesn't occur, for example, having assets over $20,000?
Well, the asset limit has already taken place. So that shouldn't be, a deterring factor. However, we are just presenting to you at Disability Rights New Jersey, we're just presenting what we know. So if you apply for workability and you are denied, you can always appeal if you're not eligible for a different category of Medicaid.
The next question that we have is can a person work in Pennsylvania and still have workability?
You have to be a New Jersey resident, but it doesn't specifically say that you have to work in the state of New Jersey. But to be eligible for workability, you must live in New Jersey.
Next question is how do I get DMOS to determine if I have a disability? Do I have to go to the office for a physical or a meeting or something?
I would recommend that you look at the website to determine, how to have a medical determination done. If you already have Social Security benefits, that determination is already made. For individuals that don't have Social Security, then I would, just refer directly to the workability or Medicaid websites in order to, find out more about that.
Next question that we have, if you are no longer eligible for Medicaid MLTSS and apply for workability, is workability retroactive?
I don't believe so. I do not believe that it is retroactive. Um, but all cases are unique. So, I don't want to give information that I'm not 100% confident on. So, but to the best of my knowledge, it is not retroactive.
And I'm just going to caveat with that and say if there is a question or if you would like to explore a little bit more information, we will be putting our contact information up on the screen. Please feel free to give us a call or to contact NJ Wins to be able to go over the benefits and go over some of this information to be able to determine what may be best for you. The next question that we have, is there a listing by county of benefits counselors?
At this time, due to high demand, all referrals are made through the Social Security Ticket to Work helpline, and we can make that available to you. But while CWICs are broken down by county, all requests still have to go through them. I know that some of the DVR offices also have benefit counselors, and you may be able to check with your county, your DVR office, if they have a benefit counselor there.
Next question. If you are a disabled adult and have not started receiving SSDI from a parent's retirement or death, will you not be eligible if you worked before the parent retires or dies?
I'm sorry, is that a Social Security question or a workability question? If you could please read that again.
The question that we have is, if you are a disabled adult and have not started receiving SSDI from parent's retirement/death, will you not be eligible if you worked before the parent retires or dies?
Eligible for Social Security disability? I may have to get back to you on that, because Social Security, if an individual has worked, they would have to have worked enough to earn enough work credits to make them eligible for Social Security based on their own work record. And but that's something that we would have to get back to you on. But I would advise that you contact either Social Security yourself, or speak to a benefit counselor, or somebody at the Social Security office who can provide you with more information about the work credits you need to become eligible.
They just amended and said on parents' work record. So the question is whether if they're worked before the parent dies or retires, are they eligible if they start to receive benefits, I believe, on the parent's work record? I think that depends, from what Elisa was saying before, on the amount that you would be receiving, Ms. Rivers.
Yes. It's Social Security will always give the largest amount that it can. So for an individual that has both income based on, for a Social Security beneficiary that receives benefits based on their own work record and are eligible based on a parent's work record, typically the parent's work record amount will be greater than what the individual amount would be. So they would go with the larger. However, if that is if the amount is over the federal poverty level, there are ways through that they can break out an individual's income based off their own work record. It's quite complicated, so I really can't provide that much information at this time, but you can certainly feel free to contact disability rights separately about that.
The next question on the chat is a situation where the individual looks like is making more in SSDI than the 1,215 limit. Mr. Miles, I'm going to suggest that or recommend that you call our office and you can speak with a member of our team to be able to discuss that rather than covering that here on the presentation, because that's very individualized as to the situation. The next question that we have is what happens if I am on workability, but I get more hours or full-time work, and then my employer has to give me health insurance? Would my Medicaid go away?
Um, I believe that if you are eligible for employer-sponsored health insurance, you may not be eligible for Medicaid anymore. I know with Medicare, you can be eligible for both. I honestly do not know off the top of my head what the right answer is to that, so I would definitely have to get back to you.
The next question or the next statement that we have is some employment networks also have CWICs on staff that provide benefits advertisement services for free. And that's from Lori Schaller. I apologize if I've mispronounced that. The next question that we do have is there an individual number of hours for part-time work in order to be eligible for workability? My disability makes it hard for me to work longer than 2 or 3 hours at once.
As far as I know, their minimum is, I believe, like $400 at this point. I don't know if that has changed.
And that's
So,
$400 a year, not $400 a
yes,
week.
exactly. So really, I don't believe at this time that there is any minimum number of hours, except maybe the $400 amount for the year. So, I mean, it's common for individuals to be able to work only a few hours a week, and still be eligible for workability.
The next comment that we have is a comment from Sharon Roth Lichtenfield. NJDVRS office refers individuals to agencies who can provide benefits counseling with certified benefits counselors. DDD can also refer their consumers to agencies who provide benefits counseling with certified benefits counselors, or if the individual has none of these services, they're able to contact the WIPA to be able to speak with somebody about the benefits that would be available to them.
Thank you. I appreciate those additional comments and responses to the questions that I did not have the answers to. So I appreciate those that do have the answers, sharing their information in the chat.
And we have another comment of one can have both an employer-sponsored medical insurance and Medicaid.
Okay, great.
So that would be another thing where it would definitely be a situation where talk to a benefits counselor if that's an option for you, or if you're now being able to be put onto an employer-based insurance, because the Medicaid may become a secondary payor. So that would definitely be something to speak about with the benefits counselor. And the last question that we've just received, you received Medicare in the past, but lost it because you went back to work and the state refused to pay the premiums because they didn't have Medicaid. Can they reinstate Medicare now that they have New Jersey workability?
You can, I know you can have Medicare and New Jersey workability, and apply for New Jersey workability. If your Medicaid was terminated in the past, you can reapply. But also, that's a case specific question, and you might want to discuss that with either a benefit counselor or even someone at Medicare, at the 800 Medicare website.
And then a follow-up to that is you can have Medicare, Medicaid, and employer-sponsored based insurance as well. And we also have an individual who's asking how can he reapply for Medicare now that he has workability?
For Medicare,
Yes.
Medicare comes with Social Security disability. So if you declined Medicare coverage, you would have to reach out to Social Security and Medicare to see if it could be reinstated.
No, this is the person who had also asked if they had received Medicare in the past, but lost it because they went back to work and the state refused to pay the premiums. Now that they're on New Jersey workability, can they reinstate their Medicare? And they're asking, how do they reapply?
Why don't we put that aside, and unless somebody in the audience knows the answer to that definitively, otherwise we can get back to you on that question.
And as of right now, that is the last question that is in the chat. For those who have been asking for copies of the presentation, I've been putting a link into the chat that has a link to the Adobe PDF version of our presentation. So that way you're able to access it and save a copy for yourself. If you have any further questions, please feel free to put them into the chat. Yeah, Don, it is very confusing. It's and I know it's something that it's also trying to figure out like what the legislation and what changes got made and what's been implemented is a little bit confusing. So we're here to get information out. We do have a question of what does the $1,470 limit refer to?
That's the current substantial gainful activity amount that an individual who is receiving Social Security disability benefits, if they are working and are able to earn more than $1,470 per month, then they wouldn't be eligible for their cash portion of their Social Security benefits. That's what that refers to. So, and individuals who are receiving SSDI and are earning below that would still be eligible for their cash benefits.
And somebody also clarifies SSDI beneficiary may be eligible for Medicare for at least 93 months following the use of the 9th trial work period.
Yes, I can confirm that. But once again, if you have specific questions like that, I strongly encourage you to seek benefit counseling from either New Jersey WINS or one of the other employment networks or the DVR to get more specific information related to your individual circumstances.
And the individual who asked what the $1,470 limit refers to is also asking a follow-up question. Does that refer to SSI as well?
SSI is, while substantial gainful activity is a determining factor for individuals' eligibility, there are different requirements for SSI in terms of earning. So that number is really for individuals who are receiving Social Security disability. SSI is calculated in a different way.
And there was a link put into the chat of SHIP counselors can help with coordination of Medicare and Medicaid, and there is a link made available to Human Services. Thank you to Family Voices New Jersey for that link. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask?
Okay, well, this is how you can contact us at Disability Rights New Jersey. If you have questions or need to speak with somebody on our staff, you can also email our intake department, and you'll be directed to a member of our staff.
And this information is all in the slides that have been shared in the chat. And these are the ways to find us on social media. If you would like to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, or follow our video series on YouTube. We have been recording this presentation, and a copy of the presentation will be made available on our website as well as a copy of the slides that were included. So we do thank you all very much for taking time on your Tuesday afternoon to come here and be part of our presentation. We hope you've enjoyed it. Actually, we do have a last minute question. Do you know what the minimum income is before needing to file income tax for this in Social Security?
I can't answer that because it depends on your household income, whether or not you have to file. So
That would be something I would actually say that you probably want to go to talk to an accountant or talk to a tax
exactly.
professional rather than a law organization to be able to know about the income tax, because I have a tax background. I can't even tell you what the tax rules are for filing for the income tax because it's been a while for me,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah, and there are different criteria based on household income and things of that nature as well, and whether or not Social Security is taxed or not. So you definitely want to contact a financial professional.
Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Again, you can look for the presentation to be posted on our website or on YouTube as well, and the slides will be made available. They're also available at the link that has been shared. And please keep a watch on our social media, because when the information about the Phase 2 implementation becomes available, we will provide another webinar, because this is information that is beneficial to everybody in New Jersey who could potentially be receiving WorkAbility. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great day.
Yes, thank you very much. Have a nice day.